What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and in this video we're going to be restoring an original early 90s Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Power Morpher. Now, the Power Morpher that we have in front of us really isn't in that bad of shape. I have seen far worse over the years. I actually have a few that's in worse shape than this that I'm going to get around to restoring. But it is dinged up, scratched up, the stickers are starting to peel, and the function of it is just tired and worn out. It needs to be cleaned, it needs to be painted, it needs to have some decals on it, and that is exactly what we're going to do in this video. So as you can see right here with my Power Morpher, when you press the button on the side, it doesn't really want to shoot open by itself anymore. You kind of have to help it all the way open. It just needs a good cleaning. It's got nicks and scratches everywhere. The decals are starting to peel. So we are going to fully disassemble, give it a good cleaning. We're going to take the old batteries out and clean the terminals, put some new batteries in, give it a nice paint job, and then apply some BD15 original 93 decals. Now, Blind Drummer 15 actually has the sticker sheet for the front and the back of the original 93 Morphers. I chose to go with just the front decal sheet. It is $10. If you want the back decals as well, it is $15. But this is just going to be a display piece in one of my cases, so you're not really going to see the back of it anyway. So I just went with the cheaper option, and for this particular Morpher, we are just going to do the front labels. Now, there have been several different releases of Morphers over the years. There has been custom Morphers I've seen, cosplay Morphers. We've even had retail Morphers such as the Legacy and most recently the Lightning Collection Morpher. This is the Legacy Collection Morpher right here, a very heavy, good looking, accurate Morpher. I mean, it looks great, it feels great. You know, you've got the action, you've got the sound effects, you know, you've got the whole deal here. But the original 93 Morpher just holds a special place for me. So we're going to be restoring this one, and I will take you along. I will briefly show you everything that we're going to do, and at the end we'll talk about everything I used and what you can do to accomplish this yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we've officially taken out all of these screws on the back, and then there are some on the front. Just be careful when you're taking this apart. There are electronics, so wires that are wired through all three, and all three of these main plates are connected. Just be gentle with it. This wire right here came disconnected. We're going to fix that. We're going to depress it on there, put some super glue on it. It should work and hold up good enough for a display, and maybe just to make sure it works, you should probably solder that back on there. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to connect it, clean it the best I can, and use some super glue to hold it down. So we'll see how it turns out. But we have this apart. We're going to carefully go in there with some Q-tips and some wipes, and we're just going to wipe down and clean under all these little parts and get all of the dust and dirt and grime and debris off of here. So that's what we're about to do next. just got done cleaning these face plates. Now the stickers on these, the outer stickers really aren't that bad. The inner stickers, the Power Ranger red stickers, hold up a little bit better, and they are larger. So they are on there a little bit better, and they have a lot more residue and everything to get off. Now if you want to use some Goo Gone or something like that, you can. Me personally, all I used was a non-bleach, so bleach-free Clorox, just wet wipe. And you just scrub at it for a few seconds and it will pretty much take all that residue off there. So it's up to you, but that's pretty much how I clean the face plates. I just scraped off the sticker and wiped them down real good. And these are going to be painted. Alright everybody, after cleaning our morpher, and we're in the process of reassembly, after cleaning it out real good and putting it back together, if the spring action to open the doors up and down still isn't very good, they're not opening all the way, they don't seem to have a lot of force behind them, it might be because of your spring. Now your spring is located right here between these two little arms, and when it's released, the spring is what actually pulls these together and forces the morpher open. So even after cleaning, reassembling, and when you put these screws back on there on each one of these little brackets, there's 4 of them, don't tighten these down super tight because that will also interfere with that. But mine are still pretty loose and I still wasn't getting a lot of spring action, so I'm actually going to modify this spring. Now the spring on the ends is bent down and these little hoops is what go on these little arms right here. What I'm going to do is cut off this last hoop, bend down the next little couple of twirls right here, whatever you want to call them, on the end of the spring and use it as the arm to shorten the spring and make it tighter. So all I'm going to do for that is take these needle nose pliers right here, and I am going to use the cutting end right here to snap this off, and then I'm going to bend the next 2 down. The reason I'm cutting this off is because I don't want it to be in the way or interfere with anything else inside of there. Alright, so we have that cut off. I'm going to take about 2 loops and I am going to bend them downwards. Now you want to bend these kind of in the same direction that the other ones are bent. So these are bent upwards on this side of the spring. I'm going to do the same thing with these on the other side over here. Alright. That'll be good enough for what I need it for right here. It is not bent all the way up to the degree that this one is, but once I put it on the arm, it should be fine, and hold it on there. Alright, good enough. So we're going to put these back on the arms here. I'm going to do one side first. All you do is loop it on there, and then we're going to do the other side. And to assist with that, I'm simply going to take my little X-Acto knife here and I'm going to pull it over. There we go. Alright. Oh yeah, there we go. Have a lot more spring tension now, and it's opening it all the way up. Alright, so once again, I'm going to tighten these down just a little bit, but do not make your screws too tight on these brackets. The tighter those are, the more tension applied to them, and the harder that little spring has to work. Oh yeah, very nice. Alright, we're going to continue with reassembly. Alright everybody, real quick. So I have glued, so the actual little speaker is this golden piece right here on the front plate, the clear red piece. And one of my wires was detached. Well, I glued it, the old solder, back on there, hoping the connection would hold. Unfortunately, it hasn't. So we have our lights back. I don't know if you can see those little red guys flickering right there just yet, But we do have our lights. So we get sound when we press on the back of the wire right here and actually hold it down to the plate. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear it, but we'll go ahead and give it a whirl. But when I let go of it, we don't. So I'm actually going to disconnect this. All right, everybody, real quick. So here's what I had to do. That terminal, even gluing it on there or holding it down, it wouldn't work unless I was applying pressure to it. Now, I scraped the bottom of the old solder real clean, and I scraped the top of this little pad here a little bit to help with the connection. And it helped a little bit, but what I'm going to do is this little brown circuit thing right here, I'm not exactly sure what you call it, but that actually sits behind this golden speaker. So what I've done is I actually took the little fork of a plastic birthday party fork, and I put a tiny bit of super glue. I put super glue on top and around the top of the solder to hold it in place, and then a little bit on this. So this is going to act as a buffer between this plate and this brown pad right here. And the back of this fork is going to rest on this brown pad and help hold that down nice and firm. So that's what I've had to do to get the speaker and sound function working again. I just wanted to show you guys in case you have the same issue if one of yours came detached. You're going to have to find a way to fix that good so it keeps its connection. All right, so we just grabbed the plates after letting them dry for a good half hour or so. I will show you guys the color paint that I used at the end, but I think it turned out really good. I really like the overall color, and we're going to go ahead and get these bad boys labeled up. So we will check back in just a second. All right, everybody, we are all done with our modification. Here is our shiny new morpher. I mean, it is just glistening in the light. It looks 100 times better. It really doesn't take that much to restore these and get them looking good again. Now, I know from the video, it might seem a little overwhelming with all of the screws, all of the wiring connecting the different plates. You have to get in there and scrub all this stuff out, but it's really not that bad. If my wire on my speaker had not come disconnected, this would have been a very easy job. However, getting that kind of rigged up to work again without actually soldering it or rewiring that part That took a few extra minutes, but I found something that works. So, I mean, maybe it'll work for you. I don't know the condition of yours, but overall it's not bad. I will throw up a couple pictures for reference for the breakdown kind of, so you know what it looks like, so you understand how it goes back together for the pieces on the front. And the pieces on the back. Now on the front, underneath the red, I'll throw up a picture here real quick. Underneath the clear red plate, there is a little tiny like peg with a nipple on top. It's red. It actually clips your coin into place. It is underneath that clear plastic red. So when you lift that red up, that might fall out. There's also a spring underneath it. So don't freak out. Just reference my picture to see exactly where it goes. Once again, the spring goes underneath and the little nipple on top of the red peg faces up, and just set them back down in there when you put it back together. For the back, just make sure you put those brackets all back on their little pegs and put their screws in, and everything else is pretty easy. There is another red piece, once again I'll show it here on the screen, that goes over top of the morpher handle on the left side, I believe it is, and there's a spring that goes on top of that when you put it back together. But just reference these pictures and it's easy to put back together. Just don't lose your screws, take your time. Once again, I will show you here real quick what I used to actually paint this. So I used this Rust-Oleum Universal, okay? So it is the metallic paint and primer, any surface, any angle, wood, metal, plastic, so on and so forth. And it is the titanium silver color. The titanium silver color. So that is what I use. It's got this, you know, a helpful little spray handle here. This is more expensive. It's like $6, $7 a can. I use some super glue to help remedy that loose wire. Once again, I cleaned the bottom of the soldered part, and the area where it was going back to, I scraped it with a knife to make sure that we had fresh metal exposed. I put them together, I put some super glue on top and around it to kind of hold it in place. And then I broke off a little piece of a fork and stuck it on there to keep pressure applied between that brown little circuit connector and the back of the actual soldered piece itself. So that's what I used to get my sound working again. I used my X-Acto knife to help scrape away that soldered piece and clean that stuff up, and I also used it to kind of assist with the stickers. Now these BD15 decals, if you've never used them, they are extremely sticky. They are very good stickers, so make sure you line those up good before you stick them on there. It's not impossible to carefully peel it back off, but some of that residue is going to come off. Just take your time with this, line it up good, use something like an X-Acto knife or something small so it's not sticking to your finger, and apply those decals. A simple cross point screwdriver for the disassembly. Some fresh batteries. I had to swap out the batteries. The batteries were completely dead. You can get all kinds of different brands of these. The particular ones I took out are the AG13s. So it says right here AG13 on these. They're alkaline batteries, but once again, every company has a different code and model number for these types of batteries. So just find out what worked with those. And then some needle nose pliers. I used these to modify that spring. So after cleaning it, if your spring is still not doing the job and it's kind of lost that pep in its step, just shorten your spring. Bend down those last two to replace the ones that you took off, and it should help with that spring tension a lot. All right, everybody. Well, that's everything I used. I will leave it down in the description below. I will leave a link down below to get your hands on the decals and that particular paint. The rest is it's just pretty much basic tools. So this is our morpher right here. Turned out great. From the other one, I'll try to throw a picture up here to the side of what it looked like before. It was scraped and scratched, and the decals were peeling. These decals are great. The letters are actually raised up. Those are like individual little letters. It's not one just a flat sticker. You can fill these letters on here, and it looks amazing. Painting and fixing this up even made my old power coin look better. It looks a lot more shiny and bright in its new home there inside the morpher. So that is restoring an old 90s Power Morpher. If you guys were curious how to do it and what you were getting yourself into with what the inside looks like. If you just want to use it for display and your lights and sounds no longer work, then just leave them not working. I mean, these still are great display pieces if you can get it cheap enough to throw some fresh paint and decals on and just set it inside of a cabinet. I went ahead and tried to fix mine since my lights were working and there was something I could do to fix the sound. I went ahead and tried to fix it. But that is the new Power Morpher. And whoop, my finger was in the way. It doesn't sound the best. Of course, these never really did. But the lights are working. The sound is working again. Some brand new batteries might have helped that, but I just used some other ones I knew that were working I had laying around, so maybe if we get a little more juice in there, it'll be better, but it's not bad. The lights are bright, it's still got some sound. Once again, that sound was never the best sounding thing in the world. But that is our Power Morpher, so we'll go ahead and do a last little look of it in 360, and I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you. So until next time, everybody, I will see you next video.